For Father Malone, this film is considered by many on the internet, which is, as we all know, the most important and verifiably best place to get your information, as the magnum opus of Francis Ford Coppola. I guess no one has seen Megalopolis, which I would assume is his own magnum opus, or it's at least Mr. Holland's opus, because I don't know how many people saw Megalopolis for any other reason other than to joke about it after the fact. But there's no joking about Apocalypse Now. There's nothing funny about this movie. This movie is not a comedy. It's not funny at all.
Oh, I disagree.
I'm being facetious. This movie is not a film about Vietnam. It's Vietnam as a film. That's what Coppola said, okay? That's what...
No. It is Vietnam.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry. It's just a fucking movie.
Oh, no. No.
No, it is a movie, but it's not. I mean, like, look, Coppola is giving himself a big head, which is fine. He's one of those directors. He's kind of always been...
It's well, you know what? It's well deserved for what...
For this, yes.
For this movie, at the end of the 70s, after that fucking run of not just The Godfather, but like The Conversation as well, like to tap the decade off with this... Good God, man.
I know, but I don't know. So calling your shot, I don't know. I always have a hard time with someone who calls their shot, I guess.
He already did it. There's no calling the shot. It was done. They already went through Vietnam. He already lost his mind. His fucking star had a heart attack and nearly died. They took the helicopters away. Everything went wrong. Marlon Brando showed up 300 pounds. Like the genius is on screen.
But this isn't Vietnam. Like... Just because they made a film in the jungle doesn't mean they made a... I don't know.
They made they went through the cinematic equivalent of Vietnam in the production of the film. I'm not comparing the two. Like calm down, all of the stolen valor people and all that bullshit.
Like Coppola, all of us.
But the fact of the fucking matter is, and Coppola, I'm sure, thinks this way. Coppola is a fucking artist first and foremost. I'm sure in every aspect of the fucking guy's life,
including
he would tell you what they went through. As opposed to nearly every other like film production, maybe Fitzcarraldo.
I was about to say, thank you. Maybe. You fucking put the nail on the head right there before I could get to it. Yes, Fitzcarraldo, I think, is an example.
Or any production of Terry Gilliam's, and that's all his fault. But other than that, I think that this was, look, he's speaking in hyperbole. And he's at the Cannes Film Festival. And, this was how many years of his life. And he's so strung out and he can't even believe that there's a fucking movie to be put up on screen. And it's as good as it is. So, yeah, he gets to say this was Vietnam.
I might interject here. I was like 13 or something when Hearts of Darkness came out. And I was in that point where like, what do I want to be when I grow up? Watching that movie and him be just adventurous, up his ass, brilliant, hurt, vulnerable, all of those things to a kid who maybe wanted to be a movie director. That really cemented it for me at that age. I'm like, okay, I get it. He's crazy, but this is cool. And, I was obsessed with Apocalypse Now in high school. As I watch it as an adult, I'm like, okay, it's a little up its own ass, but he's allowed. He's not Chris Nolan. He's not, Villeneuve or whoever.
Well, I mean, he is, but I mean, he is though, but he is, like,
but he
isn't. Like he was them before they were them. Like that's look, I think to both of your points. And look, again, like feelings on Coppola aside, that's not why we're talking about this movie. We're actually talking about this movie because of John Milius, which I think is much more interesting anyways. He has a much more interesting things to say about Vietnam than Coppola does, I think.
Well, yeah, he was there.
Right. Which I think for me is much more interesting than the guy who's just like my recollections on Vietnam through the lens of the media. Like, okay, cool, fine. But I do care more about the guy who was there, I think, inherently.
John Milius had asthma. He went through film school.
And they kicked him out.
With the full intention of joining the military and going to Vietnam and dying in Vietnam. And applied and found out he had asthma, and then they kicked him out.
Well, it was corrected.
And it was at that point he went, okay, well, I guess I will concentrate fully on film.
Huh. So I guess the question then becomes, does the person who is inherently right-leaning and more of a self-proclaimed anarchist have a more interesting take on Vietnam than someone who is, again, I think Coppola comes at it from a very different direction, a much more obvious direction than the direction Milius comes at it from.
Well, Coppola's a stoner San Francisco hippie. I mean, like, At the
I
end
know,
of the
but
day,
Milius is literally just the inverse of that. Like and again, I think to the last episode's point with Magnum Force, it was almost Milius's intent to be that way. It is his intent to be the exact opposite of all of his film school buddies. I mean, when you're friends with all these people, like, what do you expect?
John Milius was a fucking Southern California surfer kid. And then up until that was what he was doing. And then his parents, concerned that he was just going to waste his life surfing, sent him to Colorado to like a boarding school, which was in the mountains of Colorado. So then he became a mountain man. Then he started, living off the mountain. And you know what? I feel less fear when I have my rifle with me, so I will leave the rifle behind this time. That's the kind of guy John Milius is.
Well,
and that for me, I think, is a much more interesting direction to come at the Vietnam experience from than Coppola. But I think because of the way this movie ends up being, other than I think one glaring thing that I'm sure we will talk about and maybe even belabor, I think they balance each other out. I think is the more important thing with this movie. Because I think, Antonio, to your point, and Father Malone, to your point, this movie is a masterpiece. I think it's a flawed masterpiece, but I don't think that there are very many masterpieces that don't have some maybe skewed aspect to them. And I think the bias of this movie and the storyteller's intent can sometimes get in the way of a perfect story, because the storyteller wants to tell a certain ending, and which doesn't jive with literally 99% of the rest of the movie. And I think that this movie for me is one of those examples. But I think self-mythologizing, which John Milius did, which Francis Ford Coppola did as well, which we would see with something with Megalopolis, which is literally about him. That self-mythologizing is, I don't know, like you guys have said, you either pull it off or you seem like a conceited asshole. And I think that there are some people who don't care about seeming like conceited assholes, and I think that they pull it off and can support it because look at their body of work. If you were Francis Ford Coppola, if you directed just The Godfather and that was it, not even 2 or 3, diminishing returns in effect, you'd be like, I don't ever have to direct anything else. But he directed this, Apocalypse. He directed Godfather, Apocalypse Now, The Conversation, Megalopolis, Godfather
Club.
Dracula. Yeah, I mean,
Tucker, Man in His Dream.
I mean, Bram Stoker's Dracula is an amazing film.
It is.
Yeah, it is. Like, I still don't understand why that movie got drugged when it came out, other than, I mean, Keanu is not great, but
people were not ready at that moment for it. That for all the Asian influence on it and all the sort of operatic. We were used to
the in-camera work that was done that was wasted on people in the 90s, apparently.
Yeah.
This movie's boring. Wow. Well, fuck you, I guess. Like,
all my high school friends adored it. I remember going with theater kids from high school, and it was just, this is the coolest movie ever made. So maybe it hit the right notes, at least for the right people, I guess. But yeah, it did get dragged. It was considered a little too weird.
It's fucking Dracula.
Yeah. But too weird for Dracula? I don't know.
Yeah. What does that look like? So all of that to say, on this episode of the Kulturecast, I am still your host, Chris Stachiw, much to the chagrin of many, and I am joined by my 2 good friends. He programmed this month, your friend and mine, Father Malone, all the way from Midnight Viewing, where he hosts that podcast.
A Popsicle Now.
And his good friend, and he's been on the show, I think, one other time, correct? Talking about Venom, yes?
Yes, that's correct. I was here for Venom.
From Swamp Media Group, Antonio Laporte.
Laporte in English, and if you're speaking in Spanish, you can go Antonio Yapur. That is okay.
Yapur. Yeah, I mean, I unfortunately took 3 years of Spanish in high school, so I almost defer to that, and then I'm like, should I not do that? It's like ordering at Taco Bell and being like, saying gracias at the end, like, oh my God.
In Cuba, it was obviously Yapur, but when we got here, my family got here, they just started saying Lapur as to feel more...
allow the white people to also allow the white people to not have to trill their L's.
Yes. And they still murdered it. They still murdered it when I was a kid. I would get Lalapan, Lapur, Lapure. And I'm like, is it really that hard?
I mean, I've heard them all as well, so I get it.
Yes, I can imagine.
Yeah, you can. On this episode of the Kulturecast, we are still talking about films that Father Malone picked, which are John Milius films. And so we are continuing with a look at a film that I would say is much more high profile than the last one. And again, we've kind of belabored the point already that it may, in fact, be a masterpiece, and probably is. Talking about 1979's war epic, Apocalypse Now.
Are you an assassin? I'm a soldier. You're neither. You're an errand boy sent by grocery clerks to collect a bill.
Francis Ford Coppola presents Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall, Martin Sheen in the most eagerly awaited motion picture of all time, Apocalypse Now. Rated R.
Starts tomorrow at specially selected theaters.
So directed by Francis Ford Coppola, written by John Milius and Francis Ford Coppola, it stars Marlon Brando, Robert Duvall, but more importantly, Martin Sheen.
And not Harvey Keitel.
And not Harvey Keitel, that's right. It stars Martin Sheen as Benjamin Willard, a man sent upstream to find an American colonel gone rogue. That American colonel gone rogue is played by Marlon Brando. It's a lot of things. It's possibly Coppola's best film, depending on your thoughts on things. It's also a loose adaptation of Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. It's also possibly Vietnam in a film. But it is definitely a technical masterpiece. If it is anything at all, your feelings on the plot of the film aside, it is a technically impressive film in a way that films don't get made like this anymore for a lot of reasons, because this shit's expensive and it costs a lot of time to do these things. Just the helicopter shots in this movie alone. So Father Malone, I will turn it over to you first. Why Apocalypse Now? We've already talked about it a little bit, but why the John Milius of it all with this movie? With all the other Milius films to pick, why Apocalypse Now? Just and then all the other usual questions apply. Before we
go further in that direction, we should mention Paul Hirsch, the editor of this film, the actual true genius in the mix here, who took all of that millions of fucking footage of Coppola produced and like gave us the helicopters looking so beautifully. This is a beautiful tone poem about warfare in the 20th century, at the late 20th century, when everyone was aware enough about warfare now to not be fooled by anything. It was the first psychedelic war, so it's perfect for him to adapt. And it's my understanding that when he was denied entrance into the military and decided to go full bore into screenwriting, his professor was Erwin Blacker at USC. And Erwin Blacker has a book out called Elements of Screenwriting. If anyone is interested in screenwriting at all, read that book. It's the best fucking screenwriting book you're ever gonna read. And Erwin Blacker was a mean old prick of a professor who got really down on Milius because he knew he had talent. It was one of those situations, and told him that no screenwriter had ever conquered Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. It had foiled Orson Welles. It had foiled Ben Hecht, and a dozen others. So Milius took that as a personal challenge, and because he couldn't go to Vietnam, then he would make the ultimate statement about Vietnam and set Heart of Darkness against it. Now, the Heart of Darkness is the most sort of obvious reference there, but Milius himself will admit that he read Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness at age 17, and now at age 24 or 5 or 6, he chose not to reread it and thought it would be better just to get the feeling what he remembered it to be. And so
my remembrances of Hearts of Darkness, it's talk about some next level artistic bullshit. It's my remembrances of. Who else can say that? I'm just asking who else gets away with it? Who else can say it? I know.
Well, I mean, it's not like they give a credit to Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness in the movie or anything. It's not like a directly thing. We all know it is, particularly after that documentary was called Hearts of Darkness. But I would say that as much as the framework of Hearts of Darkness is in here about Willard traveling upriver to find Kurtz, it's as much Homer's The Odyssey as anything. Kilgore is nothing if not the Cyclops, and the Playboy bunnies are nothing if not the sirens. It becomes even better to me because Milius is now confusing warfare myths and turning it into this crazy thing that takes place in the jungle. And if you've ever read his original script, this movie was supposed to end with Willard joining Kurtz's army and them fighting the actual Americans as they sort of came in to exterminate them. And it was supposed to be this big, brutal, orgy of violence at the end of the movie.
which would have worked way better than what we got at the end of the movie.
Oh, I don't know. I like that. I do like the ending we got, but it's way more impactful. Basically, it's whether or not you think Willard would follow through with the orders or whether he would go fully native.
The system always wins.
The movie makes it clear that he was going full native and then Deus Ex Machina for no reason leave. I have a hard time. Antonio, I want to hear your thoughts.
Well, no, was he going to go? Yeah, he was going that way, but then, the Chef got his head cut off. I think that probably is like, oh wait, no, I got to follow through on this. It's a reverse of the Odyssey. Instead of going home, it's going away and kind of like finding yourself on the journey. And for all the movie's trappings, it's a pretty straightforward Joseph Campbell hero's journey. I mean, like it hits all the marks pretty much. It's like it's got the call to adventure and the whole thing. Here's the mission, get your team together, go on the mission. Here are your stops along the way. Like it's pretty straightforward for as bizarre as the movie is. It's a straightforward Hollywood adventure. And I think that was the key to cracking Hearts of Darkness, was just, make it as traditional as the structure as possible, because it's not jumping around in time. It's pretty straightforward. A, B, C, D, like it's a road movie. So it hits all the points. I think this ending works a little better than a big, exciting ending. I think this makes it personal for both of these two guys. It demystifies Colonel Kurtz too, a little bit, because Colonel Kurtz is supposed to be this grandiose figure, and then he's just this fat guy dying from malaria, sweating his balls off, and being weird as hell. And I think a big action thing would have, I don't know. I don't think it would have played as well for me. Now, anyways, like at 15, probably different.
I'm not sure I wanted some big action set piece. I just think I wanted the logical next step for the narrative to take that it had set itself up for. I mean, it sets itself up to have Martin Sheen's character walk away from everything at the end. It's not a happy ending, but why does this movie need a happy ending? Or again, for as happy as an ending as this movie could get, I don't know. I think, to maybe belabor the point, I really enjoy this movie. I hadn't seen this movie in the longest time, probably 10 years at least, maybe more, probably closer to 15. And rewatching it, I mean, everything about it is just so impressive. Even making the best of a bad situation with Marlon Brando showing up overweight, not being prepared, as Marlon Brando is wanting to do. Martin Sheen having a heart attack. Like, on all these things, it's like, this is the stuff of legend at this point. This movie kind of sits in its own broth in a lot of ways. Like, it's something like Tropic Thunder is a great interpretation of this movie's interpretation of itself. Like, the on the noseness of Tropic Thunder, like, there's so much of, like, I forgot how much of Tropic Thunder is in this movie, like, or vice versa, how much of this movie's in Tropic Thunder. Like, they rip shit out of this movie whole cloth in Tropic Thunder, but they play it in a completely different direction. And I really appreciate that about both this movie and that movie, because Tropic Thunder almost feels like a companion piece to this movie. And it's like, what, to your point, Father Malone, what if these people believe their own bullshit of like making a movie in the jungle is like going to Vietnam? Like, what is Tropic Thunder if not like that? Like, what if these people actually believe their farts stink zero and smell like roses? Like,
well, the funny thing about that is Tropic Thunder actually seems to be the movie that was originally conceived, because before Milius took it on and just decided, I'm going to go full hog and do my own screenplay here, he had been having conversations with George Lucas. The idea of Apocalypse Now actually originates with George Lucas, who didn't necessarily want to do a Hearts of Darkness or an Odyssey thing. His idea was, let's take you and me, John, and a cameraman and a sound guy, and we're going to go to Vietnam, and we're going to be in Vietnam with a couple of actors, and we're going to do some, crazy thing, and we'll probably die. Like that. That was the conception. And that's what Tropic Thunder actually is. Like, when they're running through the jungle in Tropic Thunder, they're like, oh yeah, no, there are cameras. We got to just do the scene. Like, that's what they were going to do.
Right.
And imagine that Milius was the cooler head and said, no, I'll just write this as a movie. We don't need to go and die.
That's because Milius was all about posturing. That's because he's a self-mythologizer. He's an anarchist up until a point.
You know what? You're absolutely 100% wrong. I think John Milius walked it and talked it, man. If George
Why
Lucas
wasn't
said
he in the jungle in Vietnam?
because nobody gave them the money to do that. That's ultimately the reason.
That's fair. I mean, okay, that's fair.
Because I guarantee you, the guy who had planned to finish film school, join the army, and die in Vietnam would not have had a problem going to fucking make a movie and die making the movie. He would have probably enjoyed it even more.
Again,
That's true, and that was George Lucas's initial style too. Was he wanted to do documentaries? His stuff has a very documentary feel to it. THX 1138 is, very documentary. It's got that feel to it. So does American Graffiti is almost.
Yeah, you know what? If you want to see Lucas's conception of Vietnam, watch more American Graffiti. There's a whole Vietnam sequence in it, and it's all handheld documentary style. And you know exactly the way his Apocalypse Now would have looked.
And the Star Wars movies have that kind of feel to them. It's very, very small. It's more evident in the prequels and the fight scenes that are very all kind of handheldy and stuff. But Star Wars movies tend to have that kind of everything is objective. The perspective is all very objective. There's no flashbacks. There's no interior monologues or anything like that. Everything is told from an outside perspective rather than through the audience. The newer movies don't kind of do that. So,
well, you know what about George Lucas? In Attack of the Clones, that was the very first time that it actually did start to get documentary style with the effects where the camera would zoom in suddenly, and that kind of became everything after that. Battlestar Galactica, the entire series seems to be based on that, those couple of shots from Attack of the Clones where it became documentary style. So yeah, I think Lucas definitely would have made Apocalypse Now 100% handheld. It would have been interesting.
It would have been very, very grounded and very almost, very grounded, very real, very cinema verite, although with some wipes and irises, but still.
Milius is such a provocateur, but I find what Coppola brings to this movie as like kind of not taking it away, but grounding it. Grounding being a provocateur. I feel like, again, in that, and you guys have already mentioned it a little bit, the I guess the tenets of fiction. Not saying that Milius wasn't interested in that, but I think Coppola brings it back to this kind of, again, heightened realism that the movie operates within, which I think helps this movie's kind of epic feel, is this heightened sense of reality. Because, I mean, again, like there's stuff going on in this movie that, again, it doesn't feel like reality, and it doesn't feel like not reality. It just feels like a heightened reality. Like, again, you
like
have this
opera. Like all of Coppola's stuff. That's what Coppola brings to every fucking production is opera.
Yeah, and I appreciate that about this movie. You have a scene where they're like, we spend every day rebuilding this bridge so at night the Viet Cong can tear it down. And then, of course, the scene ends with the bridge being blown up. Like, okay, like, of course, like, we see it, of course, and it's at the end of the scene, and it's shot in this very, like, specific kind of way as they're leaving, and you see it from behind, and it's just, like, shown, but not told. I don't know, like, there's something so... I appreciate the use of the filmic language so much, and that's a lost art, and I think that's what Coppola brings to everything he works on. And that's the thing that, for me, is the most important thing about this movie, is turn the dialogue of this movie off and still more or less get everything that's going on. Because it's shot in such a way where, I don't know, it's a vibe. I mean, you guys have said it's like a poem. It's like a vibe of a movie. It really is. Like, put this movie on in the background and just kind of have it on. It's 2.5 hours. Like, it's a long movie. But I also think, like, it washes over you at some point and you're just kind of experiencing it, less kind of watching it.
He does that a lot with most of his pictures. He takes these genre movies and then kind of turns them on edge. And I think with Apocalypse Now, it's an adventure film. Like I said, it's a pretty straightforward adventure film that's suddenly very surrealistic. He took this old kind of classic World War II movie type idea where the agent has to go on an adventure to do whatever. And then he made this just madness. But again, it's madness you can follow. And I think that's pretty cool. I think it's an accessible art film, which I think is something that he does quite well. And like I said, he did it with Dracula. He does it with The Godfather. He took a B movie like The Godfather.
Isn't that what the brats were doing in general? The film brats, the film school generation, Spielberg and Lucas. I mean, let's take all the B movies and turn them into A pictures.
Yeah.
Well, that's what made it New Hollywood, right? I mean, that's just their interpretation of, I don't know, like, that's the thing with this movie is, like, Antonio, like you said, like, there's nothing to this movie. And I think, again, like, there's this, I don't know, there's this idea of you either have the restaurant that makes the one thing really well, and it's just one thing, but they make it really well. And in making that one thing really well, they elevate that one thing beyond a place that most places ever elevate most of the things. Or you have a restaurant that makes a bunch of really complimentary things really well. And they're very...
Or you get the Cheesecake Factory. They make everything, man.
And they make it all poorly. And that's not what we're talking about. I don't know, like a restaurant that, again, like it does, you know, like a couple things really well. Like this is a movie that I think does like one thing really, which is a Vietnam movie with psychedelia, which seems weird to me that this wasn't a thing that people were really like, why don't we do that? It's like, it's weird to me that wasn't a thing that people were thinking more about, is injecting psychedelia into a war that most of the needle drops around the war have to do with psychedelia. Like, again, like a lot of the music at the time is psychedelia adjacent, if not some of the best psychedelia music we ever get. Like, it's weird to me, but at the same time, it makes so much sense. It makes way more, it's like putting honey on a peanut butter sandwich. Like, oh, okay. Like, it makes sense. I've never had it before, but it makes sense. Like, it's weird to me that someone wasn't doing this before this, because now it just seems like the most obvious interpretation of Vietnam.
You know, it does seem that way, but can you name another movie that does psychedelic Vietnam?
It's weird that it's not.
I mean, I've seen it in comic books and novels and short stories and stuff, but cinematically, like, this is the only accounting of, you know, people taking acid and lighting up the signal flares.
Surfing in Vietnam.
Yeah, man.
I guess the thing is, like, is there much else to say after this movie? Is this movie definitive enough that there's nothing else to say? In a lot of ways, it kind of feels like it.
No, I disagree with that, because
I'm talking about like this certain kind of Vietnam movie. Like, there's plenty to say about Vietnam broadly.
Yeah.
I just still I don't know if there's much else to say in terms of this kind of Vietnam movie. Like, that's probably why there really isn't another one done like this specific.
As far as summing up 20th century warfare, I think this is it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we went to, you know what I mean? Like, even, you know, now great nations are just bombing the fuck out of each other. What's left? It's the jungle. That's what's left. It's killing each other. It's killing killing our own minds. It's killing everything. Like, trying to recreate home in the middle of fucking a war zone. It's total insanity. I think, and that's what all war is. So, but add mechanization and psychedelia and Apocalypse Now.
I think the bridge sequence sums it up really well. Or like, it's like, you know, we keep rebuilding it and they keep blowing it up, and we keep rebuilding it just so they can say the road is still open. Like, there's just no sense to it whatsoever, and the absurdity of it.
Yeah, I know. You know, there are so many versions of the film at this point, but yeah,
Coppola loves that. Coppola loves to release multiple goddamn versions of every. Where's that version of Dracula? Re-release Dracula. Oh no, wait, he has. I think there's definitely a different version of Dracula with a longer intro.
Oh my, I need to see that. I love that intro. I've seen this movie so many times in theaters. Like, there was a sort of a revival when I first moved to Los Angeles of the film. So I saw this at the Cinerama Dome. I've seen this just in little revival houses all around the place. Like, it is definitely worth seeing on a big screen, and it's cinematic. Like, I hate when people say that sometimes, like, you really ought to see it on the big screen, but you really ought to see this on the big screen just for the sound design alone. Like, I mentioned Paul Hirsch, the opening of this movie, up until they pull him into the shower, Willard into the shower, that whole sequence, the doors, the end, the Saigon, I'm still in Saigon. Like, that sequence is, I don't need the rest of the movie, honestly. Like, it's so fucking technically beautiful and perfect. I don't know.
I love how we were able to get yet another injection of the Doors into this podcast, Father Malone.
Oh yeah, right.
It's like the second best use of the Doors outside of the movie The Doors.
And you know what? This is actually better than the use of the movie The Doors, because we were all so used to that one version of the song that now we get the unedited version of the song, which is so much darker and fucked up and like perfectly paired with the images. You know, Ray Manzarek criticized the use of the song in this movie. He thought it was inappropriately used.
What?
Sit down, Ray.
Ray sounds like a real fun guy, as they would say.
Well, I mean, he doesn't. I mean, even in Kyle MacLachlan playing Ray Manzarek in that movie, he's just a bundle of joy too. I mean, it's just
Interviews with him seem like he's a real dude that everybody had a great time hanging around with.
yeah.
Speaking of the Doors, the monkey sampan deleted scene, I really has the light my fire by the Doors. They is used pretty significantly in that scene.
I think at one point they were attempting to score the entire movie with the Doors.
I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that scene because that again, like there are those scenes in this movie that just feel like a distillation of what they're trying to say about the war, and a bunch of monkeys driving a boat with a Viet Cong nailed to the back of it is pretty much a great distillation of the entire war, I think. And I don't know. It's weird to me. Some of the stuff that they take out of the movie is weird to me because the French plantation scene, I think to your point, Antonio, like I really like it. I don't know. When your movie's 2.5 hours long, it's like, to fucking just make it 3 hours. Who fucking cares? Like, I get it. But at that point, like, this movie's already epic in tone and scope. Like, really, I don't know. Like, Stanley Kubrick with Barry Lyndon didn't show that much restraint. Does Coppola really need to show that much restraint when the movie's already going past the 2.5 hour mark? Come on. As
it is now, they get maybe, 4 screenings a day? I think if you go to the 3 hours, you get 2, maybe.
Yeah.
So no, he owed them a movie that they could show and try and make some money back on.
I guess. I don't know. I think
there's plenty of surreality on display without a traipse through the history of Vietnam with the French.
Yeah. But if you're going to make a movie that's about Vietnam broadly, it almost feels like a shame to leave something like that out.
Yeah, but you know what?
This is part of it.
It's part of it, but this is also, an interpretation of Heart of Darkness
right.
by a man who basically is misremembering it from 10 years earlier. And
my remembrances of, yes, we know. Would you say the French plantation scene is the Tom Bombadil of this franchise?
Oh, absolutely. What does it give you other than, they bury clean? Other than that, it doesn't really move the plot along at all. Other than just more absurdity.
Most of the things in this movie don't move the fucking plot along. I mean, like, holy shit! If we're gonna talk about this movie and moving things along, this movie ain't exactly about. So little in this movie really happened. Like, like a lot happens, but a lot doesn't happen at the same time. Like, there's more of a tone and a vibe to this movie, which is less about the plot and more about the feeling the movie gives you by the settings and the cinematography.
There is an interesting point though about the French plantation scene is because where else I didn't know the French were that involved in Vietnam when I was,
That's so what I'm saying. Most Americans,
it does address, it does address an interesting historical thing. So there's a good point for it.
It's we as Americans helped create the Viet Cong, just like we helped create the fucking Taliban. So, there's something to be said for arming the people in the jungles and then going and being like, we actually want to fight you guys now. Like, what the fuck? But I get it. I mean, like, it's a history lesson in the middle of a movie, but at the same time, like, Coppola gets away with like everything else in it. Like, he gets away with pondering and posturing and injecting a Vietnam movie with his inherent like biases as well as Milius's biases, and like he gets away with all of it. So as far as I'm concerned, like, you want to load your movie up with stuff, be my guest. And 49 minutes is what they reintroduced to the film in the Apocalypse Now redo.
It's too much.
I don't know. Like I said, the movie's long enough. Like, it just doesn't that big of a deal, really.
Listen, if they want to add an additional hour and that hour contains more with Harrison Ford, well, then okay.
Harrison Ford. Yeah. The unsung hero of Apocalypse Now, Harrison Ford. I can't take my eyes off of him. He's such a fucking distraction. He's such a distraction. Like, not in a bad way, but in the way where it's like and again, I know everybody's favorite film. It's like in Tusk when you realize it's Johnny Depp. You're just like, I can't unsee him. It's like you can't unsee the fact that it's Harrison Ford, like right around him becoming the Harrison Ford that I think most everybody who has a filmic reference point for him know him for, which is either Indiana Jones or Han Solo, which is right in this corridor of time. But
he shot this first though, before Star Wars, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, again, you can't take hindsight away. You can't be like, who's that actor in Apocalypse Now? Did he ever do anything else? Like, he ended up just being one of the biggest actors of all time, like ever.
Oh, I agree. It's jarring the first time you see it, but now he's just another guy.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that such an iconic American actor is in the quintessential Vietnam film.
In a villain role.
Yeah, I was about to say, as part of like the fucking the villains, the U.S.
The machine.
Yeah, the U.S. government, as it were, broadly.
Which is weird for Harrison Ford too, because he's usually a very outside the system kind of guy too.
Unless he's playing the Red Hulk,
right?
oh, Marvel! They were like, we want you to play your character from Apocalypse Now. It's not a.
What's his character's name here in Apocalypse Now? It's George Lucas. It's George Lucas.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's sure that's right because it says Lucas. Oh wow, yeah, that's right. I can't believe I never caught that.
They love the self-mythologizing, baby.
Hey man, you can name shit after your friends. That's fine. The original draft. One of the original drafts of that fucking Deep Blue Sea movie. The character that ends up in the surgical bed that the shark uses to smash open the entire facility. That character was originally named Wallace after me. So,
and they changed it.
Yeah. So go ahead and fucking name any character you want after anybody, man.
Now you sound like John Cusack in High Fidelity. I just want to be in the liner notes.
I name so many characters after kids I went to grade school with.
Amazing. I mean, look, G.D. Spradlin's character is R. Corman, which,
come on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, paying lip service to the man. I mean, I get it. Like, again, this is calling their shot super early. Like, Harrison Ford playing G. Lucas. Jesus Christ.
You know what? G.D. Spradlin's great there, but now that you said it, Roger Corman also would have been great there.
Yeah, he could have, boy, Corman's great. Corman's kind of a great
that
actor.
officious kind of thing, like, and his aloofness would have added to another whole, like, level of weirdness to the movie, honestly.
For as many times as I've seen this movie before this time, I forgot that Dennis Hopper was in this movie.
Well, that's because this movie is so fucking sprawling and episodic. You can kind of forget all of the elements. It's always a nice surprise, actually. I agree with you because I forget he's in it too. And then he pops up and I'm like, oh yeah, this crazy fucker.
Yeah, and he's not he's in it, but not even in it enough. You're almost like, where is the crazy guy? But it's almost like if there was more of him, it probably would be overwhelming and way too much because he's such like an acolyte of Kurtz that you're just like, shut the fuck up and let's get to Kurtz. I don't want to hear from you anymore. But I love this like weird kind of like through a lens of somebody else's interpretation of this like deification of Kurtz where he's like, he's a god, man. And it's like, whatever, dude. Whatever, man. Whatever.
And it's also just kind of boils down like how much of these characters are just high. Like
how much of them are just stoned out of their fucking minds? Most of them is what it feels.
Most
everyone.
How else are you dealing with? That's the question that I have. Like, how are they not fucking out of their minds, stoned all the time? Like, how else are you going into the bush and just that scene where they're like, "Who's in charge here?" Like, that's my favorite scene in the whole fucking movie. Like, I can hear him, man. He's just sitting out there looking with the grenade launcher,
the roach.
Yeah, get the roach. I love that whole scene because it's just like it's a personification of what my belief is of Vietnam, which is just like a bunch of people in the jungle shooting at shit and they can't even see it. And there's like, we killed it. Poor women and children that we may have killed at the same time as collateral damage, but we killed the Viet Cong that were screaming at us in the jungle, that were screaming at us about being in their country. It's fine.
For me, it's that when they come across the boat with the hiding the puppy. And Willard just shoots the lady. He's just dying, but he just puts her out of her misery right there. And you're like, oh yeah, irredeemable. The only two decent people in the movie seem like are Clean and the skipper. I mean, I guess Chef
Clean kills everybody in that boat though.
Yeah, but Clean is 14 years old. You know what I mean? Like, he's a little boy.
What does it say about the guy who wants to be in Vietnam at 14, though?
Point taken.
Well, you know what? All the heat and the sun put the zap on his head.
Yeah, they're all fucked up. I guess the only decent guy there was the skipper.
Actually, the only decent guy in the entire movie is Colonel Kilgore.
I mean, yeah, what?
That's a man of conviction. Don't you worry. We'll pick your little boat up, put it right down where you want it.
They take so much away from him by not having him save that woman or the baby or whatever it is that Duvall gets all bent out of shape about. It's like the complexity of my character. Like, I mean,
you know what? I know that guy's a decent guy.
Yeah, it's so clear and obvious the way he acts. Like in that scene, I mean, other than the fact that there's a really comedic moment where they're like, "What? This surfer guy is here? Like, fuck the guy who's holding his guts in. We're just gonna walk away from him." Like, there's a very comedic beat there where they're talking to the guy, like they're talking about the guy. He's like, "Hey, a man who would hold his guts in with his helmet, like that's a real like soldier." And then the moment he hears about the surfer, they just like later, like that shit was hilarious, either intentionally or unintentionally. But yeah, I don't think I need to see him like saving a Vietnamese child to know that he's not a terrible person.
Kilgore is the personification of what Conan the Barbarian will let us know is what's best in life, which is to crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women. Kilgore takes it a step further. He surfs their waves.
Yeah, he takes their entertainment and fun away from
Milius being a surfer kid, though, explains Lance being the only one who survives the whole thing.
Yeah, and that's
inexplicably too. By the way, survives.
Yeah, he's just
always survives
because he's just so high that he just doesn't have anything to say to anybody. So he's just like, I'm just a lovable white guy in the back here, just smoking this joint and frying on whatever I'm frying on.
Lance is living in the moment more than any other character at that point, so there's no question he would survive.
Is Lance one of the characters from Big Wednesday that kind of made it out of that movie and snuck into this one?
You mean the one where George Lucas and John Milius traded points? I'll give you points on my surfer movie. You give me points on your space movie.
Your little space opera?
Yeah, okay.
I'll take it. Take 2 points on the back end of Star Wars. Who wouldn't? Star?
Have you ever heard of action figures?
Yeah. Kenner. I hear they're making great plastic toys, injected models. I think for me, I resonated the most with Sam Bottoms' character in the movie. Because it's just like, if I were there, I'm not sure I'd be having a great time. Like, it's either him or Chef. I mean, Chef is obviously, oh my God. Again, I forgot where I was associating New Orleans shit came from with Robert Downey Jr. and Tropic Thunder. It is a recitation of more or less that entire scene. Like back before the war, I was associated. Like it's just Robert Downey Jr. doing blackface, which I mean, again, I love it. It is the greatest use of blackface in cinema because it is the only way to get away with it, which is to make fun of the people who think it's okay to do it unironically. And I love that this movie has so much mythology around it that you can make movies about the things in this movie that are kind of, again, wild and weird because this movie, again, lives in its own mythology. Like, again, Martin Sheen, like you mentioned, Father Malone, being drunk at the beginning of the movie for real and punching a mirror for real and bleeding for real. And him apparently no longer being an alcoholic anymore after it. Like, sure.
What a great sequence.
Right. Yeah,
See,
exactly.
You know what?
Like, even without the story, it's a great sequence. It's like, again, I hate to mention this movie, but like in Django Unchained, the scene with Leonardo DiCaprio at the table, where he supposedly actually smashed his hand for real and like cut his hand and was rubbing blood on Kerry Washington. Like, great scene. Do I need this like amped up story behind it? No, but does it make it better? I don't know. It makes it more interesting, I guess.
Well, here's the thing. I mentioned earlier about when we were talking about this movie as Vietnam, and I mentioned that
it is Vietnam.
Yeah, exactly. The difficulty of making this movie can only really be paralleled by Fitzcarraldo. In both cases, the stories behind the making of these movies is fucking fascinating. The difference is Apocalypse Now is a great movie, and Fitzcarraldo is boring.
Wow. Yes, but you did not have Klaus Kinski trying to murder you the whole time of the production?
That movie should have been better because of it.
Hey, you guys remember how Werner Herzog is in fucking The Mandalorian? And he introduces the world to Baby Yoda. Wild times, folks. Then he ate his shoe. He ate his shoe at one point.
I saw that movie. It's a good movie.
It is a good movie.
He should just narrate the world.
I know. I love Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
He's the narrator for Conan O'Brien Must Go, his Conan O'Brien's travel show.
Oh, I had to watch that. Now I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, Werner Herzog, everything I mean, again, like he's a similar director who I like. You watch his stuff and you're like, whatever is on screen is probably half as interesting as the stuff that was happening off screen. Like a documentary about the making of Grizzly Man would be, I think, as interesting as Grizzly Man is. Because again, like, just, I don't know, like there are some directors who you get the distinct feeling and then it's like more or less confirmed that they're a lot to deal with, and making movies with them is the way making movies is meant to be. Fucking Herculean task, apparently.
But it is a Herculean task. From experience, it's maddening. It is absolutely maddening.
The thing is that when I say like that, without the story behind Fitzcarraldo, there is no story of Fitzcarraldo. It would be just a movie. It would just be this movie. And as much as I love all of the behind the scenes stories here in Apocalypse Now, and there's a fucking movie you can watch and know every little bit of it. Those are great. I don't care. Before I knew any of that shit, I saw Apocalypse Now and completely responded to it as a piece of cinema without knowing. I mean, I knew who Coppola was. I knew who the players were and everything. I didn't know any of the backstory. I didn't know the fucking trouble they went through. Didn't matter to me. I think the movie stands up.
I agree. It's just,
I think in terms of the kinds of movies I just mentioned versus this movie, this movie is a much better movie. Fitzcarraldo is fine. It's not even the most interesting Herzog film. At least not with those.
No, not even close.
Well, definitely not with Kinski and Herzog. I think if you're talking Kinski and Herzog in a wild movie that was actually crazy in terms of the way it was made and what ends up on screen and it being entertaining, Aguirre, Wrath of God, I think is much more entertaining, much more interesting, and a much more, again, wild film in terms of what we get on screen versus what was going on behind the scene. But yeah, Fitzcarraldo is like the close comparison, but Fitzcarraldo is not. It's kind of a boring movie. It is, which is unfortunate because the documentary about it is not boring at all.
Basically, don't go make a movie in a jungle. How did William Friedkin get away so scot-free when he made fucking Sorcerer? I don't know.
Look about fucking Predator, for fuck's sake. Like, talk about a movie that sounds like a complete nightmare to go and make. Like,
they were just in Mexico. Who cares?
The Mexican jungle, man.
They're 20 minutes from civilization.
Jean-Claude Van Damme quit. It was so bad.
Well, he just quit because he's a pussy.
He didn't want to wear that orange suit. I don't blame him.
I love that orange suit. I wanted to see that Predator.
I mean, it showed back up in the Shane Black movie, remember?
Like Mechagodzilla.
The Predator? What a great... Apocalypse Now or The Predator? What do you think? Which one's better?
Oh, well, The Predator does...
You guys.
The Predator does have Jesse the Body Ventura in it.
Oh, that's Predator. That's
no,
Predator.
See, yeah.
That's not The Predator. I'm talking
the
Shane
Predator.
Black movie. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, you know which one's better now. God.
But you know what the thing about Apocalypse Now, you say, how Coppola gets away with a lot of stuff. He's just a really good storyteller. He's good at spinning a yarn, and he gets it out, man. And most of his movies are all pretty damn entertaining. Even when they're not working great, they're still entertaining.
He does it with such, it's again, like, there's some of this, like, I've got big ball. Like, like, I'm just going to do it and call me on it. Like, fucking call me on it. And there are some people that are like, again, maybe not myself so much, but there are people that are like, fuck you. I'm going to do it and see if anybody calls me on it. And Coppola did it once and did it twice. And he's done it every time he makes a movie, as far as I'm concerned. And this is, in my mind, this is the biggest, like, one of them all, where it's just like, I'm going to tackle what feels like filmic Mount Everest.
But even when he's at his most reserved, and let's say like Tucker Hooker's a great movie. It's just solid, straightforward Hollywood movie making. And he's like, I'm not getting all bananas with it. I'm just I'm spinning a nice yarn here, and it really works. Rainmaker works too. Like, it's just, he's good at what he does. I haven't seen Megalopolis. I think it was only playing downtown, and I just didn't get a chance to get to it. So I can't comment on it. I imagine it's very pretty and very obnoxious.
Very masturbatory is what I have.
Yeah.
Well, let me mention one we haven't mentioned yet, and it is a particular favorite of mine of Coppola's, which is Peggy Sue Got Married, which is one of his director for hire things. But if you're going to be a director for hire, make that fucking movie. That movie is magic.
Often overshadowed by Back to the Future with kind of like similar themes in that time period.
Yeah, they both came out the same year, exactly.
Yeah.
But one is just one's the wacky adventure we got, and then one is Coppola's version of some.
Is that the one where Nick Cage is doing the weird accent?
Yes, man.
Oh man! Oh, I watched that movie a lot. Yikes!
Is he like, well, Uncle Francis, should I stand over here or stand over there? Like,
Yeah,
which
pretty good. A very understated Nick Cage. I like that one.
Thank you.
That was a good one. I remember seeing that movie and just thinking that Nick Cage was fucking obnoxious.
But you know what? Some people talk like that. So what? Who cares?
That's all. Yeah, I mean, again, like, yeah, whatever.
I imagine most people who encounter Nicolas Cage say that, but
Yeah, right.
and just a couple years after that,
What's this guy's problem? What the hell's this guy's deal?
but then, for all of that, he did give us High a couple of years later and Raising Arizona, and all would be forgiven.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm actually talking about that movie this Saturday on another podcast.
I love that movie. God, I love that movie. God, I love that Raising Arizona is just every second of that movie is magical.
That's a perfect movie. Apocalypse Now is not a perfect movie, but it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, Coppola's best movie is still The Godfather. That first Godfather, it's just flawless movie making. The Godfather 2, yeah, it's amazing, but it doesn't live without the first one. Like you might be able to argue that, I don't know, but I think that first.
I agree. I agree with that, because anytime a sequel is better, it's because we've had so much shoe leather to get there. So it's not a fair thing. Like, if you watch them out of order, maybe would you have said that? Probably not. My favorite Coppola film is The Conversation. That's just straight technological paranoia. San Francisco, fucking Cindy Williams, and fucking Gene Hackman. And it just gets worse and worse, and it gets. I love it. I love it so much.
Why not Jack from 1996?
I've never seen that movie. I will not see that movie. I will die not having seen Jack.
Why?
I'm not going to sanction that buffoonery, to steal a line from Tommy Lee Jones.
Oh, wow. I was about to say, God damn. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was Father Malone's one-man play of how much he hates Jim Carrey. Sanction this buffoonery. I get it. I mean, look, I think
it seemed like twee and just like, let me pull in your fucking heartstrings. And I could not, like, I expect that from Robin Williams. God damn it, Francis Coppola.
Yeah,
Don't you be doing that.
Like Antonio said, he likes to tell a story. He likes to spin a yarn. It's very much like a modern fairy. And that was the Coppola of it all. The injection of Coppola into the movie. The injection of Coppola is also a great name for a porno starting. It's Ford Coppola. I don't know. I have never seen The Conversation. It seems probably like my kind of movie. I would like to check it out and watch it. But I think of the movies of his that I've seen, I think this is it's either this or The Godfather 1. And I think they scratch different itches, but I think they both speak to a certain time and place in this country in terms of filmmaking. And I mean, Father Malone, you said, and Antonio, you both said The Godfather 2 doesn't exist without The Godfather 1. Apocalypse Now doesn't exist without The Godfather. So that's probably more of the important thing, is like The Godfather is Francis Ford Coppola's best. It is not my favorite of his. I think probably this is, just because I don't know. Probably speaks more to me more than anything else. I vibe with how wild and up his own ass Kurtz is at the end of this movie. He's just so nuts. And I love it. He's just, I watched them cut the arms off, and I saw the pile of arms, and I thought to myself, if I just had 4 platoons of these guys, we'd end the war right here, right now. Like, what the fuck are you on, man? He's like, I never let it go. I never forgot about it. It's like, this guy's nuts.
Kurtz has given himself over to the jungle completely. I
love it. I love it. And I love that, again, I'm just genuine. like, honest to God, Tropic Thunder is one of my favorite movies. I've seen it a million times. So it explains why I vibe with this movie so much, because again, a lot of Tropic Thunder is just like a moronic retelling of Apocalypse Now, like what Ben Stiller's character goes through in the end of that movie, where he's sitting, I'm the dude playing the dude disguised as another dude, like all of that, like, and him and Robert Downey Jr. back and forth in that scene. Like it's like Marlon Brando arguing with his id. It's hilarious. Like it is what this movie takes seriously. That movie just lampoons and parodies in the best way. And I love the self-serious version too, because Kurtz has given himself, he's gone native. And I love that fucking term. He's gone native. I love it. I don't know, like Kurtz, for as terrible as Marlon Brando seemed to be as a person in terms of dealing with him and working with him and getting him to, act like a decent collaborator, for all the bad things, the knocks against him, man, there ain't nobody that looms large over a movie like him. He looms. He's like a specter over this entire movie. He's in it for like 10 minutes. Literally, like 10 fucking minutes. But they make so much usage of that time when he's on screen as much as when he's off screen. And I love Marlon Brando. I genuinely love Marlon Brando in this movie.
He looms over it like Orson Welles looms over The Third Man. He's got that star introduction at the end. You're finally waiting for him, and here he is.
Right.
And it's a different vibe, because when Orson Welles shows up, it's just like, look how cool this guy is. And then when Marlon Brando shows up, you're like, oh, fuck, what happened to Marlon Brando? Like,
look how really nuts this fucking guy is. Like,
and it sells that character so much. Yeah, he showed up unprepared. Yeah, he showed up 300 pounds. And golly, it all really worked. It really, really plays.
Are you telling me that Marlon is taking $1 million of my money and he's not going to show up? It's a great part of that documentary.
Yeah.
Chris, you mentioned that there is no Apocalypse Now without Godfather 1. And I will say also that there is no Apocalypse Now without John Milius. This is his movie. Even Coppola will say so. Can't forget
100%.
that this movie is the reaction of a 26-year-old who intended to go fight in Vietnam, was denied that, and then gave us this instead. That's pretty great. So that's a pretty great artistic reaction.
So I asked the question then to you, Father Malone, because I feel like this is something that a lot of people not struggle with, but I think have interesting opinions on. Is this a pro-war movie, an anti-war movie, or yes, it is both?
Both. This movie is the contradiction of warfare, definitely.
Right.
It's necessity, it's insanity, it's just everything about it is. I don't think the movie comes down that war is bad or war is good here. It's just the mania of it all.
Right. I mean, I was watching The Meaning of Life over the weekend, and there's that scene where all the British officers are in the tent talking about the leg being, cut off, and they go outside, and Eric Idle's there, and he's like, "Hey, killed 16 people here. They give me a fucking medal. If I go home, they'll throw me in jail." Like, that is the insanity of war. Is like, it is, government sanctioned murder. Like, you are allowed to go and murder someone else, and you're given an award for it. Like, it's insanity. Like,
in both cases, watch out for tigers.
Right. In Africa, tiger in Africa. It's not a tiger in this movie, right? It's like
yes, it is.
Is it a tiger? I always think it's like a hog.
Oh no, it's a fucking tiger, man.
Oh,
Chef nearly gets eaten by a tiger. That's my favorite scene in the movie. I always stay on the boat, never get off the boat.
Tiger.
Well, yeah, and then they parody that in Tropic Thunder with the fucking panda.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I just watched Apocalypse Now today, and I saw the longer one. We had the French people in it, and
redo.
And it had the extra scene with the bunnies too. But I think I need to go see Tropic Thunder again.
Yeah,
what a palate cleanser. Yeah.
It plays into the spots where Apocalypse Now refuses to go. And like Father Malone, like you mentioned at the top of the episode, well, Apocalypse Now is a pretty funny movie. It's darkly comedic. It is.
Everything with Kilgore is hilarious. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I know that's
agreed,
a brutal sequence ultimately, but like if you're not laughing from the moment that motherfucker walks on screen, like I don't know what to tell you.
Again, I mentioned the thing with the guy holding his guts in with his helmet, and then he just like lets go of him and he falls. And it's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, he's just, I don't know. Like, I find the movie very comedic, but Tropic Thunder definitely plays further into the comedy that Apocalypse Now kind of hints at, or kind of is more interested in like how insane war drives you, as opposed to like the inherent not hilarity of war, but like the darkly comedic aspects of war. Like Tropic Thunder kind of starts going more in that direction, and Apocalypse Now kind of gets that ball rolling, I feel like. And it's not interested in having that conversation in a lot of ways.
You guys keep mentioning Tropic Thunder, which I think is an okay movie. I didn't respond to it, I think, as positively as you guys. But I will mention another parody that came out almost exactly the same time as Apocalypse Now, from Ernie Forselius, who made Hardware Wars, the classic parody of Star Wars. He made a parody of Apocalypse Now as Ernie Ford Forselius, and that was Porklips Now, where there is an insane butcher who is underselling all the butchers in San Francisco, and so a guy is hired to go take him out. It's really fucking hilarious. Porklips Now.
Hardware Wars, Augie Ben Doggy.
Augie Ben Doggy, yeah, absolutely.
Augie Ben Doggy and ham salad.
Yep. My God, I was like 10 years old when I saw that. Good.
This is all on YouTube, so everybody, Porklips Now. You'll enjoy it.
You also mentioned the self parody that Coppola does on that episode, that Saturday Night Live he hosted, directed, or whatever it was. If you can find it, it's the most bizarre thing. He's like,
that is on Peacock. I watched it again recently. Absolutely.
And it is so bizarre, and it's all he's parodying himself in it, and it's absolutely delightful. Even when I saw that, like, a Nick at Night or something in the '90s, I remember getting it and going, "Oh, this is cool! What a cool dude!" That now he's gonna just piss all over himself and make fun of this crap because it's so funny. And he does it, but at the same time, he does something serious. I remember with Denitra Vance, and gives her a really nice moment on the show that she might not have ever had otherwise. Anyways,
he does absolutely, and you know what? He plays the whole fucking thing straight, so it's extra hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I really like that. He's being very Francis Ford Coppola in it too, like, with his kind of like shouting and explaining and the way his hands are waving around. Yeah, surprised he didn't bust out and give everybody some spaghetti and wine at the end of it.
We're all gonna cook now.
But as a filmmaker, that's one thing I picked up from him is I cook. I try to cook if I got actors around and shit like that. I think it's a really nice way to make your crew and your cast family. And I think that's one of the reasons he does well with actors so much, is that I think he knows how to be with them and how to be around them, except in the clips that I saw from Megalopolis and Kylo Ren talking about the club and shaking his head around. It was pretty terrible acting.
Hey, he's just adding his own Adam Driver flavor.
The best Adam Driver moment is also Saturday Night Live when he just turns around. He's like, "You think I killed Han Solo? I didn't. Wokeness did." Stupid.
So when we talk about, I guess, the way this movie is received broadly, I think people talk about this movie being a masterpiece. I mean, Coppola releases the redo in the early 2000s, and then we get it released on Blu-ray in 2010, so you can have like the definitive version. I guess the definitive version is the final cut, which came out in 2019, so we have an even more definitive version of the movie. In 2025, does this movie still hold up as the masterpiece that the movie, I think, has lived for a very long time as? Or has something else come along and kind of taken its place in terms of the bearer of the conversation about Vietnam and this kind of aspect of Vietnam? Or is this still the singular Vietnam film? Because I think for me, it's still the singular Vietnam film. It's either this or Full Metal Jacket, really. Those are like the two.
I think this is the more magical, realistic version of Vietnam. So I think, to me, that's the most definitive. It's the most artistic version of it. Like, obviously, Platoon is probably letter perfect. That's probably how it exactly looked, because that was the guy. Instead of John Milius, Oliver Stone was the guy on the ground in Vietnam, and those were his experiences, and that's what it all looked like. Neither Coppola nor Milius had anything to do with going to Vietnam. It's a completely imagined playground that they've dropped these characters into. So there's a con for it when you say, like, is this the definitive Vietnam movie? Like, well, not from a veteran's perspective, not from a real world perspective, but overall about what America was going through and what warfare was and what the state of consciousness was at that time and place. No, there's no better version, there's no better film version of that.
Yeah, because, Platoon is the movie about Vietnam, but Apocalypse Now is Vietnam.
He keeps going, but fuck it. He's like, it's Francis is here with us now.
But no,
He almost had me going there for a second. Almost had us going there for a second.
But it's objective versus subjective, I guess. He's Oliver Stone was like he said, he was there. This is what I remember. This is what I experienced. This is the war for me. And I think Apocalypse Now is looking at it. Yeah, okay, but I'm some crazy artist out here, and this is what I'm seeing. So I think they're both very different pieces. I think they're very good companion pieces to one another. I think one should enjoy the other film after watching the first one. You know what I mean? Like they go together. Full Metal Jacket is just Stanley Kubrick, man. So it's just Stanley Kubrick. You're gonna watch it regardless. It doesn't matter what it's about. It's great. It's Stanley Kubrick, so it doesn't matter. And that is more. I think also Full Metal Jacket is really more a treatise on the military than it is necessarily on Vietnam, on how the military warps these young men into becoming what goes over there. Because what is the Vietnam is like an act and a half in that movie. Most of the movies is boot camp. So it's a different.
Most of the parts that people like of that movie are boot camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, nobody likes the dealing with the sniper part of the movie, which, by the way, I always think is like the last half of the movie, and really, it's maybe like 5 minutes at the end of the film.
Yeah, you just get Adam Baldwin and is he the one with the ear neck?
Animal Mother.
Yeah.
I think to both of your points, Platoon, I think, is the movie the most, like, if we say, like, we want to watch a movie about the experience on the ground there in Vietnam, it's probably Platoon. And Platoon is not a fun movie. Like, I don't know. I've seen it. It's fine. I don't go back. I don't think fondly of it. And Apocalypse Now is a movie that I don't think negatively of, again, other than kind of the way the movie ends, just not paying off the way I would personally have vibed with if it had gone the way the movie was kind of pretending it was going up until it wasn't. I think Apocalypse Now is a movie that stands the test of time because there's so much going on that kind of becomes a definitive statement on the war and America in the war. I think, Father Malone, to your point, more aptly. But I mean, again, Platoon is more about like the boots on the ground, the guys in the moment, like what was going on with them. And obviously there's some other kind of fantastical shit going on in that movie with Willem Dafoe and Tom Berenger's character. But I mean, again, I think Apocalypse Now for me is, if I want to watch a Vietnam movie, it's this one. And you know what? I wanted to be a troll and say Forrest Gump, but I don't fucking hate myself that much. Even though I feel like Zemeckis is like, and this is the quintessential Vietnam film experience. Like, yeah, I guess so. Drop some CCR in there like 4 times. We'll call it good. So all they did was listen to Fortunate Son in Vietnam, guys. That's what I'm led to believe.
They handed out like rations.
Yeah. Some folks were born to raise a flag.
Here's your CCR tape and your tape player.
You could just hear that, like, it's like on every single. So that's the thing. Like, for me, whenever I think of helicopters in Vietnam, I think Ride of the Valkyrie. That's what I think of. Like, and so, like, in my mind, like, it's an intangible thing linked with Apocalypse Now. Like, if you think of CCR, like that, while there is some of those kinds of needle drops in this movie, I feel like the things I think of when I think of this movie aren't so much that kind of Vietnam stuff. I think of more of the psychedelia of Vietnam. Like the
needle drop in this thing at the beginning, though, with this is the end and the explosion of, oh my God.
That's it. I mean, it's really, for me, it's the doors in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's the psychedelia of Vietnam. Like, those other things are just like, remember CCR? Remember that was like a Vietnam adjacent thing? Like, we'll just put that in there. Like, and now it's become Fortunate Son and Vietnam are like intrinsically linked. That's like peanut butter and jelly. I'm not even kidding. Like,
well, it's a song about Vietnam, so it's the most fucking obvious thing in the world. It's like, here's a red door, and a character walks on and goes, look at this red door, everybody.
I know. I can't believe anybody's even doing it anymore. But yet, like, again, the fact that they ever did it to begin with is, I mean, again, Forrest Gump did it. And you know, as far as I'm concerned, Forrest Gump, any needle drop used in that movie is like the most obvious needle drop possible.
Hey, you know that King Kong movie, Skull Island? Did they use it in that movie?
Probably.
I'm hoping they didn't.
Oh, I like that movie too.
I like that movie a lot too. And now I'm thinking back, I'm like, God, did they make that mistake? Did they fucking put Fortunate Son in there like a bunch of fucking obvious morons?
Because that is kind of the last Vietnam movie that came out, right?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Vietnam as a giant ape.
Adjacent. I mean, those guys are coming back from Vietnam. We're not exactly in Vietnam. I think they went to Skull Island in that movie,
which is in Indonesia.
So I went and looked. The soundtrack for Kong Skull Island does have 2 CCR songs. They are. Does anyone want to take a guess?
Bad Moon Rising.
Okay, that's one of them.
Yeah.
Antonio, you want to guess?
Fortunate Son?
No, they
No, wow.
Hey,
So it's
there was
already a
score.
success.
So Big Wheel?
Mm-mm.
Proud Mary? I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Run Through the Jungle.
Wow, well, there you go.
And,
Hey,
however, I will dock the movie's soundtrack points. It has Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit, which is like...
Oh, no, don't do that.
I know. Why do we ever need that used in anything post Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas? Like,
What about Buffalo Springfield? Did I make it in there?
no, Buffalo
Yeah.
Springfield. Thank God. No. Some Bowie, some Stooges, some Black Sabbath. No, no more obvious picks. Yeah, no Fortunate Son, thank God.
Yeah.
It's like
I mean,
it's the whenever it's the 60s, you automatically hear the incense and peppermints.
Yeah, exactly. Or you hear just fucking soul bossa nova. Like, you know.
in Boston, I went to the Museum of Science, had a planetarium where they would do the laserium shows, and they did this. This was in like '89, so the '60s was all the fucking rage. And I remember seeing specifically a laser show that began with incense and peppermints, and just going, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Who's this for? And there's just one guy in the back with the joint, like, far out. I remember
It's like, it's
this.
my happening. There's some guys like, it's my happening, and it's freaking me out.
I will say, for a movie about psychedelia, we don't really get that moment of like far out, man. But I mean, there are moments that verge on it with the Sam Bottoms' character towards the end of the movie.
Purple Haze.
Yeah, Purple Haze.
Purple Haze.
Man.
Yeah, which is funny for about 30 seconds until he gets poor little 14-year-old Lawrence Fishburne killed. Yeah.
While listening to his mama.
Oh my God! What a great scene! What a horrible juxtaposition! My God, that Coppola's going somewhere, folks.
Big salute to Larry Fishburne, one of my all-time favorite actors, man.
Yeah.
When I was that, I just still remember seeing what's that cop movie he did? Oh gosh, where he's the undercover
Deep Cover. Yeah, with Jeff Goldblum.
That was the coolest movie probably for me for like a decade and a half, man. I fucking love that movie. I love Lawrence Fishburne. Every time I pop him up, he puts a big old smile on my face.
Talk about a guy who worked with Keanu Reeves twice and has been able to make something out of it 2 times. And also then goes on to be, I think for me, the perfect version of Jack Crawford in Hannibal, the TV show, where Lawrence Fishburne takes that role. I mean, I love Lawrence Fishburne. He's literally, I think, one of the great like character actors of like a specific generation, and not even a character actor. I think, frankly, like he's able to carry. I mean, most of the things he's in, he's like either a secondary main character or a main character. So I don't know. I mean, he's great here. For a guy who's 14 years old at the time, like, shit, I didn't have this talent when I was 14. I was not signing up to go to the jungle to go make a movie, but the ball's on him. The ball's on him.
Can you imagine that's your high school experience? How'd you spend high school? I was in the Philippines making a movie with Francis Coppola and Dennis Hopper.
And we thought we were never coming home.
Yeah. Of all the places.
Have you seen Lawrence Fishburne's Othello opposite Kenneth Branagh?
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, excellent. Indeed. Always just such a solid guy. I remember he was supposed to do Jimi Hendrix way back in the day, and they never got.
I remember that.
Yeah, that bummed me out. That to this day, it's the one rock and roll biopic I'd really love to make, man. No one's ever done Jimmy any kind of justice. They did almost a little bit with that one with Andre 3000 from a few years ago, but had no music in it. So it was just like him hanging out, going, "Hey, man, I'm in London and I'm Jimi Hendrix," and that was about it.
Yeah, you can't make those movies without the music. It's just not.
I don't know. You can't make biopics without the music? Come on. Right? You don't want to listen to a biopic about Paul McCartney without the music of the Beatles?
Probably not, no.
The only one it works in is Backbeat, and that's because they hadn't recorded anything yet at that age. So
yeah, there you go.
But what are you gonna do? I am glad I got to talk about Apocalypse Now, though, because like this movie was big for me when I was a kid, man. I just remember it just being like, oh, it's a war movie, but it's an adventure film, and it's got all this cool music and Marlon Brando. Like I did the Brando's monologue. I did it in high school for my theater class. I was an little 18-year-old me going, but they won't let us write fuck on the bomb. And my teacher goes, bro, can you do it with like maybe a Latin accent? Because you're starting to sound like Brando every time you talk. And I got an A. It was pretty good.
I think for me, to your point, Antonio, like the Marlon Brando of it all is maybe, you have this 300-pound actor who shows up unprepared, but yet turns in, a performance that it's like 10 minutes. And he's on the poster front and center. He makes the most of that 10 minutes. You genuinely believe, again, in my mind, I believe that Willard should have, Willard should have walked off into the jungle with his, you want to get really esoteric. How about Apocalypse Now is just about, journey into the being gay, and he turns his back on being gay at the end of that alone space.
Why? What?
Well, it's a journey.
I'm not against it, but like, were we always going there? And I was just blind to the signs?
Into yourself. I don't know. You never know. Yeah.
How about he gets there and there is no Kurtz?
Oh, he was Kurtz all along.
Maybe.
Yeah. He looks in the mirror and he's like, "Oh my God, Brad Pitt from Fight Club is just standing in the mirror." That could have worked. I do like the idea of Kurtz and him running away together at the end, or him staying. Like, there is something about that seems, I don't know, literary in its execution. Like, there's something about that's what the movie's building to. But the fact that the movie doesn't do it, and I think still more or less nails the landing, and I think has something to say about Vietnam, both on a micro scale and in a macro scale, both I think about the people involved in the war, about the people that were having the war thrust upon them, talking about the Vietnamese people, and then the people who were in charge of making the war happen, talking about the U.S. government. Like, I think that Apocalypse Now is the perfect kind of cross-section of all those things, the confluence of all those things at once. And I don't know if anybody other than Milius and Coppola could have made it work. And I don't think Coppola could have made it work on his own. I think he had to have someone like Milius really turn in a script that just, again, you want to have Sam Peckinpah at the end of this movie. I'm all for it. Maybe it wouldn't have worked, but again, that's pretty goddamn John Milius, if you ask me. Like, and maybe we don't get to see his complete, narrative idea, but I think what we get on screen is pretty great. And Coppola, I think, is a huge reason for that. The script is great, but also Coppola being, like you guys have both said, just a real true auteur, like a filmmaker with a capital F, in a way that a lot of filmmakers aren't anymore, or a lot of filmmakers pretend to be. Like, Chris Nolan and his ilk, like, I think they're the closest, but ain't nobody going out to the jungle and making fucking movies like this anymore, because nobody should have been doing this to begin with, is the reality. And the only way to get a movie like this is to go do it. Like, it's the age-old adage, like, if you're gonna go do it, just fucking do it. Commit to the bit. Go drag a bunch of actors to the jungle, drag a bunch of cameras to the jungle, make everybody's life miserable, and it'll show through on screen. Like, how many of these movies do people make that suck? Like, not a lot, because people aren't doing this, but when they go out and do this, it turns it into this, like, catalyzing moment where people are, changed, their entire lives are changed for being involved in the making of this movie. Like, that's the sense one gets from watching Hearts of Darkness, is like, these people were forever changed by being involved in the making of a film for entertainment purposes.
Here's what I'll say. In Magnum Force, John Milius gave us one of Dirty Harry's catchphrases, which is, a man's got to know his limitations. This is, of course, after the "Do you feel lucky" punk in the previous film, and then eventually the "Go ahead, make my day." He was a catchphrase generator, John Milius, and no more so than here. If you take anything away from this movie, just realize that Charlie don't surf.
And that you love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Oh my God, it's never ending.
Smells like victory.
Like you're fighting. Don't look at the camera. Oh, you're fighting. Yeah. Like you're fighting. Don't look at the camera.
Coppola gives himself one of the best lines in the entire movie. I love it. Son of a bitch. Can you imagine? Remember that scene in Saving Private Ryan where it cuts away and they show Steven Spielberg on the beachhead with everybody?
That'd be great. It's like a newsreel guy.
He should have done it.
Don't look at the camera. Keep running. Don't look at the camera.
He should have done the exact same fucking thing. It would have been great.
Yeah. This is a movie that I actually watched 3 times for this episode. And that's a lot of time to watch it. And I watched the original version, I watched the redo, and then I watched the final cut. So you're welcome, Coppola. That's a lot of Apocalypse Now. I really vibe with this movie. I resonated with this movie, I think, on the wavelength that this movie wanted me to resonate with it on. Brando's performance, I think, is I mean, he's an actor who I haven't seen enough of, but the things I've seen him in, he's great. I find him to be fascinating in this movie, and I think that this role is, I don't know, Kurtz is he's an interesting character. And I think that nobody could have done this role as kind of big but small as Brando. He's as big as he humanly can be on screen, but this is a pretty reserved performance for someone who is operating at the wavelength and caliber that Brando operated. For a guy who shows up 300 pounds overweight and doesn't know his lines, bro, you didn't have very many lines, like compared to like everybody else in the movie. You're being tasked with a very small amount of things that are needing to be done, which is why it's kind of like, all right, he's the one dude who just like didn't show up prepared. It's like, bro, you're just like standing in a room for most of the movie talking. What the hell, man? Everybody else puts in performances and work to the tune of having heart attacks and losing their minds. And Marlon Brando just shows up and isn't prepared, but yet even the guy who isn't prepared turns in one of, I think, his great performances, if not one of the great like cinematic performances in terms of villains, quote unquote. I mean, again, depending on your view on things in the movie, I'm not sure Kurtz really is a villain. I just think he's a man of certain principles. Very strong. I mean, I think you put Kurtz and Thanos in a room together, and I think they might figure out a way to maybe come around to 3/4 of the world, if not 99%.
Or they just kill each other.
I don't know, maybe, yeah.
Or they go on a date.
Yeah, right. I mean, again,
Following your. This is all just a gay metaphor.
it's all just a gay metaphor. It's like Nightmare on Elm Street 2. They just didn't know they were making a gay metaphor the whole time.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, they fucking did. When Freddy Krueger starts coming out of the guy's chest and he's whipping him on the ass, like, yeah, you knew what you were doing. Anything else we want to talk about with Pork Lips Now?
I love pork lips now.
Pork Lips Now. What a fucking gross name for something.
I'm slashing prices with a straight razor.
He goes, the like best Herzog quote is when he goes talk. It's about filmmaking. He's like, when you go to make your first film and raise money, don't do it in an office. Work as a bouncer in a sex club, or as an orderly in an insane asylum. Poetry is not made from behind a desk.
Man, that guy's never smelled a fart of his own that he didn't think smelled amazing. And that's what I love about Herzog. Like, these artists are never not themselves. And I love that about them. And they will continue to be themselves, probably to a fault in some of their, David Lynch didn't want to make no Return of the Jedi. He doesn't work inside the corporate machine, baby. All right, whatever, David. You could have worked on the Ewok movie. We would have loved you for it. Can you imagine? I mean, again, like that. Some of these directors they will not compromise. Like you said, Father Mulligan, man's got to know his limitation. You got to know when to compromise, and Coppola did not want to compromise on this movie. And I think it shows on screen. I think every bit of this movie is earned. And I think every bit of insanity and crazy bullshit is earned in this movie. 100%.
Oh, agreed. And that's Coppola. Coppola, you can take anything away from Francis Ford Coppola is that he doesn't compromise at all for anything.
Yeah. And good for him.
Yeah.
So on that note, we'll take a break, play some previews and some ads, and we'll talk about the next episode.
Hi, I'm Susan.
And I'm Sharon. And we're the hosts of 80s TV Ladies.
Check us out wherever you find your favorite podcasts.
And please like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at 80s TV Ladies.
You can find interviews and exclusive behind-the-scenes content on all of your favorite 80s TV ladies.
80s TV Ladies is the place to go. Please join us.
Hi, this is HP from Noise Junkies.
And this is Father Malone from Dark Destinations.
Please join us as we examine one of the greatest sitcoms in television history, Taxi, on Night Mr. Walters, a Taxi podcast.
Good night, Mr. Walters.
Good evening, and welcome to Night Gallery.
Thank you, Rod. And I want to welcome everyone to Midnight Viewing, where once a month we talk all about your follow-up to The Twilight Zone, Rod Serling's Night Gallery.
They say it's Rod Serling's Night Gallery, and it isn't really Rod Serling's Night Gallery. It's somebody else's.
Oh, we know. We talk about it a lot. Your curators at Midnight Viewing are the projection booth's Mike White.
What can happen to human beings when trust is wiped out by suspicion?
And Kulturecast's Chris Stachiw.
Small boy encased in a crystal ball.
And I'm Father Malone.
The kind of thing that usually infests nightmares.
Join us monthly at Midnight Viewing, the Night Gallery podcast at weirdingwaymedia.com.
Doesn't remotely belong to me. I have no proprietary interest in that at all.
Judge Roy Bean, the man that came from nowhere to become a legend. Hold it.
Could you lower the deceased a little bit? He's not in the picture.
Lower him. This is the life and times of Judge Roy Bean, featuring a gallery of guest stars and a series of vintage portrayals. Jacqueline Bissett, Tab Hunter, John Huston, Stacy Keach, Roddy McDowell, Anthony Perkins, and Ava Gardner as Lily Langtree.
The judge must have been quite a character.
Who are you? Justice, you sons of it!
Marmalade, molasses, and honey, cinnamon and sassafras tea. They make a morning finger licking and sunny, sweet as it can be, pour it over me.
The life and times of Judge Roy Bean. If this story ain't true, it sure should have been.
Cinnamon and sassafras tea.
That's right. On the next episode of the Kulturecast, we're going to be talking about the life and times of Judge Roy Bean, another John Milius movie, not a Francis Ford Coppola. So until then, where can people find you, Antonio?
Well, you can find me and my filmmaking adventures at swampmediagroup.com or at Swamp Media Group on Instagram, or you can just follow me at Antonio Lapur, LLAPUR.
By you, Father Malone.
I got a show called Midnight Viewing, which you guys are both co-hosts and various shows on there. So come check that out, Midnight Viewing. What are we doing? We got HP from Night Mr. Walters, a taxi podcast, and I are currently doing Fusco Fest. We're looking at the works of John Fusco, screenwriter. We've already covered Crossroads and Young Guns 2 and The Babe. And most recently, I think by the time this is out, our episode on Thunderheart, the Val Kilmer, Graham Greene flick from 1992. So check us out over there.
And as for me, you can find me over at Weirding Way Media as well, where all the aforementioned shows by Father Malone can be found. And this show and a whole host of other things, including 80s TV Ladies, The Projection Booth, Twisted and Uncorked, Filmentaries podcast, all kinds of things. Go over there, listen to as many podcasts as you can fit into your day. As for us, anything that can't be found there can be found at patreon.com/Kulturecast or patreon.com/Father Malone. For me, the $10 or higher level gets you access to Rankin' on Bond, which Father Malone will be on soon, once again, to talk about License to Kill. But that's a James Bond podcast that we release once a month. If that's a thing you're into, cool. If not, all right. Just like, rate, and review the show wherever you get it, more than likely and more helpfully on YouTube or on iTunes, not YouTube. Jesus, nobody listens to any podcast on YouTube. That's not a thing. Or is it?
It is.
It is, but not in the way that it is on Apple, and it won't ever be. As for Antonio and Father Malone, thank you both for joining me. Antonio, it's been too long. This was a lot of fun. I hope you had a good time. And Father Malone, thank you for programming the month again. So
yeah, thanks a lot. Great to be here.
Yeah. And as always, we'll catch you on the next episode.